Welcome everyone to this 37th AGM. There was a pleasing increase in revenue of $53,000 to $349,000 for the 2019 year. This compares to $285,000 in the 2018 year, and I believe that this is the highest yearly revenue TFSL has ever seen. Net profit after depreciation of $60,000 was $38,300. Importantly, net cash flow from operations was $124,000, and from this we repaid a bank loan of $85,000 and spent $17,000 on plant and equipment. All of this left us with a cash at bank at 30 September of $113,700. After the $85,000 was repaid to the bank, the loan remaining is $5,000, and this was deliberate so as to leave the facility in place. As is now a way of life, energy costs have once again increased this year by $4,200 to $50,300. We've had quotes to install solar panels, however, we did not progress this as we had some concerns about the viability of these in our area. Having said that, I'm confident that the new board will see this as a priority project for this year. It's traditional at this time to welcome new members, and I do so now. Ivers Reinfelds, Emily Goldsmith, Claudia Kwan, Robin Mitchell, Eva Stoltz, and Susan Alexander. At the other end of the scale, we have with us tonight some of the original shareholders who bought either before or just after we opened. In May 1982, Alastair and Felicity James paid a $2,000 deposit over a year before we opened in July 1983. Looking back and getting to know Alastair's conservative nature, because he was on the board, served on the board for many years, this was a surprising move. Yvonne and Tony Brady bought in August 82 and Steve and Mary Anderson in September 82. And Jenny and Rob Crichton from Queensland bought in October 83. Mike Turley was another early adopter. There are others who are still members and who bought in 1983. They are listed in this report, but in the interest of keeping things moving along, I will not read them out now, but they are in the written report of this chairman report. For 37 years, the board, on behalf of members, has conveyed expressions of appreciation to those who have gone over and beyond by way of their contributions to the lodge. Once again, our sincere thanks go to Karen Edwards, who handled our bookings so well and will do so again this year. Nolene Hawkes has continued to serve the lodge, this time handling all of the paperwork involved with share sales. Everything arrives in a package to me, instructions, the share certificate, and even envelopes already pre-addressed. So I want to personally thank Nolene for making this task so easy. Thanks also to Jack Lake, who each year takes on the task of ensuring that our work parties are well organised and remain relevant. I have the pleasant job of thanking Mick and Kath for managing the lodge so well once again. I'm sure that all members would like to join me in thanking them. At last year's AGM, I thanked Owen Lansbury, who I said was on the home straight in terms of completing our new website. This has now been completed, and Owen has contributed, or has continued to contribute, in a very valuable sense, not only with the website and all the multitude of side issues that are involved therein, but also by facilitating our email communication with the TFSL family. Thanks again, Owen. Robert Twin volunteered to take on the company secretary role, and I take this opportunity to thank him in advance. Shane McGlone has once again featured in the thank you list, and this is for recently replacing about 50 old-style internal and external lights with energy-efficient 8-watt LEDs, another great initiative that will provide ongoing savings. For 36 years, Thredbo Farm has had a proud tradition of members coming to a couple of work parties each year. 2019 has been no exception, and once again, I want to thank all those who attended. The work parties of past decades, the work party of past decades varied dramatically in particular aspects to those that we have today. There was always a big turnout for the firewood cutting and gathering work. The reason for this was that the city slickers would turn up in their four-wheel drives, their bush clothes, and worryingly, some with chainsaws. In addition, Thredbo Farm also had a chainsaw, and this was handed around to people who had never even seen one before. But did they love using it? I had some experience using a chainsaw, and worryingly, this made me the expert. So it was a little bit like the blind leading the blind. However, as I now put it, we got away with it without losing one leg or even an arm. Work parties in our nanny state are now much safer. Last year, I also spoke about how successive boards have considered incorporating an online booking system. This year just gone, led by Catherine Prosser and ably assisted by Karen Edwards, we had this booking system ready to launch. At the 11th hour, we found that the RMS online booking system would not do what RMS told us it would. So it's been put on hold for now. Regardless of that, I do have to make special mention of Catherine's input by way of implementing Google Docs into the TFSL system. For example, in close cooperation with Karen, she designed the form to be filled in by members and guests as an accommodation request. This will save our booking officer a huge amount of time. In addition, Catherine has done a lot of work on improving our communications with our members and friends and board governance issues. Catherine will tonight take over from me as TFSL Chair. I believe that she'll continue the tradition of successive boards, namely ensuring that good decisions are made and that these decisions are in the very best interests of the overwhelming number of members. I've always maintained that if you stick to this criteria, you can never go too far wrong. While on the subject of board members, and in the interests of renewal, John Barbala and Justin Beatar are standing down tonight, and thereby make 2 places available for new board members. The reality is that the Thredbo Farm Ski Lodge community should be and is hugely appreciative of people like John and Justin who have served TFSL so well over so many years. Justin as Company Secretary and John in a finance advisory role to the board. John and Justin, I'll be sorry to see you go, but fully appreciate that you have served the lodge well and that you can now relax a little in this respect. Could I ask for a show of appreciation? In their place, I'm delighted to welcome to the board Simone Parsons and Rick Creech. Another board member, Bill Rathborne, will be remaining on the board in his capacity as Treasurer, and we should thank Bill for his ongoing contribution and wise counsel. Mark Glover has been another valuable board member. You may recall that Mark was instrumental in obtaining the builder for the homestead upgrade. While I was responsible for managing this project, it would not have been possible without the help of Mark's wife Kathy and my wife Nikki, who managed the complete internal fit-out. As a result of this initiative, that is, managing the project ourselves, the saving to the lodge was of the order of $250,000 and perhaps more. The great thing about that is that we now have the ability to provide new accommodation for our managers. In this respect, once again, Mark stepped up and has instigated or investigated providing a modular type of building at an estimated cost of about $250,000. There's not much more I can tell you about this just now because, apart from anything else, the new board will have to consider all options and, of course, council approval will be required. As for me, I've agreed to stay on for 1 more year. I anticipate being involved in the new building works, but otherwise taking a low profile and thereby permitting Catherine and the other board members to get on with many other initiatives. On Friday the 3rd of January 2020, one of the bushfires had reached Tom Grogan. The predictions for Saturday the 4th of January were for 70 km/h plus winds that would sweep this fire up through Thredbo village and in all probability continue to at least Thredbo Farm Ski Lodge. I spoke at this time to some people who own properties in Thredbo, and they were absolutely resigned to losing the lot. I again checked our insurance policy and took some comfort in the knowledge that our buildings are insured for something in excess of $4 million. As it turned out, the prediction was a long way off the mark, and the wind on that day was 5 km/h. Nevertheless, no sooner had this threat passed, on Monday the 6th of January, the same strong winds were predicted for the following Saturday. First thing on Tuesday morning, prior to that Saturday, I emailed my fellow directors saying that we had just dodged a bullet and that the enormous fuel load between Tom Grogan and the lodge remained unchanged and that the threat was still current. I suggested that we should take immediate action to implement measures to help protect the lodge prior to the coming Saturday's predicted fires. This started the ball rolling. Catherine immediately instigated an email blast to members asking for able-bodied volunteers to go to the lodge immediately. Mark Glover turned up on Thursday morning and managed the work party that comprised 12 members and Mick and Kath. By mid-morning on Friday, the area surrounding the lodge for 50 metres had been cleared of bushes and everyone had departed while the road remained open. A small but important part of this was to clear the shrubs that lined the walls of the homestead lower wing. Had the fire have come through, these shrubs would have provided immediate access for the fire to go into the ceiling and destroy the lodge. Thanks to those of you members who turned up at short notice and did such a great job. And these people were Owen Lansbury, Rick Creech, Ned and Anthony Scanlon, Matt Gain, Roger Banks, Catherine Prosser, Peter Colvin, Robert Twin, Patrick Sorey, Nigel Harvey, Kate Marshall and Kim Lockley. Once again, this Saturday arrived and the forecast was wrong. The wind speed was again around 5 km/h. In the week following this, Saturday, the 11th of January 2020, it started raining to the extent that this and the other surrounding fires were extinguished. Where to from here? Well, it will be interesting to see what happens. The fuel load in the national park remains in place, and therefore, if it is not reduced by way of a winter burn, then exactly the same threat will be in place for next summer. In the meantime, I'm confident that your board will review this issue and decide on any measures that can be implemented to better protect our buildings. So that's it from me for the last time as your chair. I hope I'm handing on a legacy that will serve you and your families and generations to come very well for the next 37 years and beyond.